learn something. We're not content with just the headlines or the typical talking points.
It's a refreshingly honest conversation about what's going on.
It's about connecting our community and doing something to really make a difference.
We're taking today's stories and bringing positivity back.
And welcome back to Take 5, an emotional and happy tears-filled edition of the show here. We're so happy that you're a part of it. So many of you texting in the great news for Michelle. She is expecting. You can text us, 206-448-4545. Earlier in the show, we asked you to tell us, what happens when the sun comes out? What do you do? You're heading right to the grill. You're filling up the propane today. What are you up to today? 206-448-4545. The sun is out.
Yeah, but first I want to turn our attention to a story that's been dominating the headlines both on social media and on television. First, the good news in this. Police did catch the guy involved in that Tennessee Waffle House shooting. As you can imagine, people in the Nashville area are just relieved by this. Now, a little bit about this guy. He's 29 years old. He's accused of opening fire inside the Waffle House. It was Sunday morning. 4 people were killed in that, and he was on the run for more than a day. And it was a tip that led police to him. Apparently, he was hiding in a wooded area near his apartment. Police held a news conference today and revealed more about him. Apparently, he's had his guns taken away at least twice. The latest incident happened last year. The Secret Service arrested him for trespassing near the White House, and authorities in Illinois seized several weapons that he owned, but then gave them back to his father, who later returned them to his son. Now, one of those guns was used in Sunday's shooting.
His father had given him back those weapons.
I can't make that assessment. Obviously, it's a very tragic thing. He was not able to possess or own those weapons, so on its face, yes.
Even though his guns were taken away in Illinois, should he have had weapons in Tennessee?
He should not have had weapons, correct.
Yeah, we want to welcome in King 5 investigator Chris Ingalls. Chris, it seems like one of the big questions is the father potentially in any trouble?
Well, that's what the cops said today, that he is under investigation for a potential violation, but I don't think we should rush to judgment here, really, because first of all, did the kids steal the guns? You know, we don't know that. Right. And second of all, it seems kind of preposterous to me that you would say, hey, you're not allowed to have any guns anymore. That's against the law. Here, Dad, you enforce the law.
Right.
That seems kind of strange.
And that was my next question. Like, when do you have those issues, those run-ins with law enforcement, and you get your guns back in the household? That's what's just bizarre.
Right. So the story is that you know, supposedly the guns were seized from him, and then they gave them to the father to hold. You know, my question would be, was there some kind of lawful order to seize those guns, which can happen in those cases? But right now, we just don't know.
Is this just a situation where the police, their hands are tied? I mean, is this one of those weird loopholes? They're going to have to iron it out to where, I mean, logic seems to be, take the guns away, let's go ahead and keep them safe in the right hands.
You know, I'll tell you what it is. When there's a felony conviction, when you're a felon in possession of a firearm, that's an easy one for the cops. Right. They can lock you up for that. But if it's a mental health issue or a domestic violence issue, then the case gets much more difficult to enforce. And I think that's what's happening here. All across the country, this is a problem, enforcing these non-felony types of issues like mental health.
Right. And as part of King 5 investigators, I mean, you've covered many stories related to gun laws, and you have some facts for us, right?
Yeah, sure. So we did an investigation called Never Surrender, and here's some of the 5 fast facts from our civil domestic cases that we looked at, civil domestic violence cases. In those cases in King County, 47% of defendants ignored weapons surrender orders by judges. Now, those are mostly civil cases, for example, protection orders. So police and prosecutors are not involved. They're not in the courtroom, and that's proven to be a problem. Now, here's the one positive piece of information from our coverage. There's a new firearms enforcement unit that's operating now in King County, and they have seized 4 times as many weapons from accused domestic violence abusers in the past year than they were previously. So that's the good piece of information. At least here in King County, there's something happening. But across the nation, this continues to be a big problem.
Okay. Wow. Is there anything next for you in terms of on your radar related to this?
I've got some things coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not quite ready to talk about them yet, but they're coming.
That's true. It is always kind of, they have their own little place here in the office where they work on these things. Well,
I also want to say at 5:30 on King 5, I'll be back to talk a little more about this, because it is a big issue nationwide that everybody's trying to figure out how to grapple with it.
Okay. Chris Ingalls, King 5 investigators, thank you so much for
Thanks,
that.
guys.
You know, and one thing we want to mention out of this tragedy is the story of a hero, that 29-year-old James Shaw Jr., credited with saving lives yesterday. He confronted the gunman. He grabbed the rifle from him. Shaw was actually grazed by a bullet himself, but other than that, he is okay. And if tackling the gunman isn't enough, Shaw is also, by the way, raising money for the victims. He's actually starting a GoFundMe page. He did this yesterday. He already raised, well, when we were writing this, about $36,000. We saw it jump another $10,000, $46,000. He jumped up $10,000 in just an hour. So a lot of people are getting behind this, and great stuff from a legitimate hero. Way to go.
Okay, well, our personal hero on Take 5, want to go over to her in the 5 Hive, Michelle.
Oh, that's me?
That's you.
I can't take any more compliments or surprises today, you guys. Want to give a shout out to Christine Schmidt because she says it's time for week 2. Let's get this party started. And secret, Christine is watching from work. Don't tell her boss. Yeah, we do. Look at this. How often do you see a possum and all of her babies? Speaking of babies today. Thank you all so much for joining in the Hive and sharing some nice comments. I don't really know what to say about that. It's been really overwhelming just in the last 5 minutes. I did like a pretty good hard sob in the bathroom during the commercial break. But thank you so much. We wanted to share it live just because we know that a lot of people will be talking about infertility this week. And, you know, a lot of people kind of suffer in silence. So I'm hoping that there will be some changes. And thank you so much for all of your well wishes, but also sharing what you're going through with either yourself or your family.
You know we're going to be with you through this entire process.
Unfortunately.
And we're going to be sharing it. Anyway, I won't go there. We've got Mama Doc, Dr. Swanson here with us this afternoon, and I thought it would be a good idea to chat with, you know, baby stuff since you're newly announced. Does that sound good?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, does that sound good?
Yeah.
I know you had a couple of big topics you wanted to go over. Number one, though, you mentioned something about what parents go through after birth.
Well, you know, we know any adjustment, just like your experience, is extremely emotional, right? And we also know that the kind of transition as you prepare is full of tons of anxiety. But right after you have the baby, too, we know there's a huge surge in hormones and there's a huge surge of emotion. We know about 80% of moms have what we call kind of the baby blues, really normal, very emotional, very tear-stricken. It has to do with rising and fluctuating levels of hormones and also the reality that you become a parent in that time. If that doesn't get better, so usually baby blues, 8 out of 10 people have that. If that's not gone within 10 to 14 days, I mean, if you're not kind of getting back to and feeling like you can take care of your baby or take care of people in your house, that's when we start to worry about postpartum depression. And that's as common as about, 15% of pregnancies. So, you're talking even about the amount of energy that goes into infertility. So many families, of course, come about the time of birth with a lot of anxiety. And we know actually it can continue in. So, more than even 10% will have that going on. So it takes everyone around a mom who's delivering a baby and kind of reaching out and getting support for that too. So never wait on asking for extra support.
We're here.
And kind of pitching in. Moms can ask, feel really overwhelmed, feel really anxious, not feel like they can take care of themselves or their baby. And that happens a lot where we all pitch in. I mean, that's that whole thing. It takes a village.
I feel like that right now. I mean, I felt like that before.
I think parenthood is a long journey, as so many of us know. Yeah,
but can you have postpartum like months? Like you said, 10 to 14 days or whatever. But I mean, could it show
Well, that's
itself
postpartum
later?
depression. So that's where we really think you need treatment. Most treatment really for postpartum depression, includes seeing someone like a behavioral health counselor, but sometimes it even includes medicine that can really help a postpartum mom who's suffering from significant depression. Big risk factors are if you've been depressed before, if it runs in your family, and or if you were anxious or depressed during the pregnancy. It tends to be really a hallmark for looking at it later. So it's just something to know about. There's so much coming at new families right when the baby comes, right? Sometimes we just kind of make excuses for it. And I just want moms to know and dads to know and anyone who's around those new parents, if you're worried, go in and get support. There's lots of places that you can do that.
Is there anything she could be doing right now to make sure everything's going good inside?
Well, she needs to take care of herself, which is exactly what she's doing. She's making strong decisions. She's probably feeding her body really well, taking prenatal vitamins, getting the rest and the exercise that she and her healthcare provider are deciding on. And then after the baby's born, there's some amazing things that happen because they've been kind of put into the system. A hepatitis B shot within the first day, a vitamin K shot to make sure baby doesn't bleed, and then even ointment right in the baby's eyes right after birth. And all those things happen without any moms or dads interfering if you've got healthcare providers right there to really prevent kind of life-ending or life-threatening complications at that birth. And then it's just like, you think about that royal baby, mom and baby and dad went home within like 7 hours or something. That's not the normal. I think we have to remind ourselves, right? Like, we all have a different story. I had 2 C-sections weekends. It did not look pretty. My hair was not looking like that after those babies. So, you know, we all kind of find our way home in different ways. And sometimes my baby went to the NICU. I mean, some babies
Right.
have to take some transitional time. So know that those story royal book doesn't have to be our own story. So your own journey,
gonna
your own
be
story,
good.
we'll
You
all
have
be
a
hearing about.
storybook, though.
You know,
With
it's
the
all,
twins?
It's all going to be good, and everything worked out just like the way it should be. Thank you so much, Dr. Swanson.
Yeah,
Really
congratulations.
appreciate
This is
it.
gonna be great.
You're going to be great. All right, let's send it over to Chris and Angela.
Yeah, we already know that Michelle's baby news has taken over the day. I think hashtag Mini-Lee, hashtag Happy Tears are trending worldwide. But we're also asking people about the fact that the sun is out. We're getting this little summer sneak preview. We want to know, how do you celebrate? What happens? What happens in your brain when you get sun like this? We're getting all sorts of responses here. That's a tease of something coming up. Don't worry, I'll tell you exactly what's going on there. We got this one from April in Puyallup. She says, may not be real fun, but it's satisfying to wash your windows on a sunny April day.
If you've got a good view, it totally is. And look at this, we got a picture from someone working in their yard. I love that, someone with their feet up. Someone else said, hey, going to have lunch on Alki. Oh yeah, there's that view. I'm totally with you. Go to the Kirkland waterfront, get on the beach towel, read a book, hiking, boating, gardening, ice cream in Duval. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Keep on sharing. Even our minds are on the sunshine. We are but mortal here, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up, our morning meeting, you just saw a little preview of it, turned into a sing-along.
I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with.
Yeah, we say goodbye to a childhood classic with a jingle that will stay with us for a long, long time. That's coming up on Take 5.